is Jillian, a customer service representative, and you're listening to TeleCastPH, the TelePH outsourcing podcast with your host, Bizdev Jeff. TeleCastPH is a podcast dedicated to discussing the benefits of outsourcing, positive mindset, startup and business advice, and a behind-the-scenes look into how outsourcing some of the non-core aspects of your enterprise to TelePH, your business can scale up quicker, and you can help eliminate poverty in the Philippines. The TelePH Outsourcing Solutions Inc. located here in the Philippines has a solution to your outsourcing needs. Outsource and scale up with TelePH. And now your host, Bizdev Jeff.
Thanks, Jillian. And of course, if you want to find out more about us and our services, just hop on over to www.teleworkph.com. Today, we're going to talk about the outsourcing elephant in the room. Is outsourcing evil? We'll go over some common misconceptions about outsourcing and how it's become a bit of a taboo subject in some circles. And I've got some great facts for you that you're not going to want to miss. So stick around. Hey guys, and welcome one and all to episode 2 of TeleCastPH. I'm Bizdev Jeff, your host. Sincerely, thank you for joining, and I want to say thank you to all of you who listened and subscribed to episode 1 of TeleCastPH, my last podcast. The response was overwhelming. It was a lot more than I had expected, so I'm very grateful for that. Now, originally I had planned on interviewing our Chief Marketing Officer, June Barangan, to talk about our new partnership and digital agency in Laon, Bohol. However, he is incredibly hard to schedule at times. Being that he is one of the top 5 digital marketers here in the Philippines, he's always traveling here and there, and every time I text him, he's someplace other than where I wish he was. So I'd like to refer to him as our Chief Traveling Officer. So he's unable to be here, which means I had to shift gears. No worries, I'm flexible, and it wasn't an incredibly bad thing. So later on, we're going to talk about our partnership and what's going on in Laon. But first, I want to talk about an issue or issues that may be holding some Western companies back from outsourcing, even at a time when they are facing devastation or annihilation. Let's talk about the outsourcing elephant in the room. Now, when you hear the word outsourcing or the word offshoring, what immediately comes to mind? Different things come to mind for different people. In recent years, since outsourcing in the BPO industry has grown here in the Philippines and other parts of the globe, there have been a lot of mixed views about outsourcing. Emotions run high, and people even start taking an almost political stance on the issue. In fact, in some cases, the mere mention of the word or idea to outsource non-core parts of the company can be considered taboo. And companies who outsource, even though it keeps the price of products and services affordable for Western consumers, are sometimes ostracized. And then there are those who view outsourcing as evil, pure evil, that it is the destruction and downfall of economic society in the Western world. The thinking is outsourcing hurts Western nations by sending jobs overseas. I'm certain you've heard this line of thinking. Then on the flip side of things, you'll hear companies that have used outsourcing as a strategic tool to get to the market quicker, to increase their profits, attract more investors, which has allowed them to expand and hire more Western workers for both core and non-core activities. Now, I'm from the West originally, and to be honest, from a business standpoint, I don't understand why more companies don't use outsourcing as a way to grab a serious foothold in the market and for times when they are ready to scale up. So in short, I'm here to tell you that outsourcing is not evil in my eyes. I mean, the goal of any company is to stay profitable, and outsourcing can be a key factor in not only growth and stability, but even survival. Sometimes companies need to cut costs in order to stay in business, especially in a recessionary period. And outsourcing non-core business activities, anything from customer support, technical support, to even reading x-rays, has allowed many companies to do just that. So if outsourcing allows a company to cut costs and operate more cheaply, allowing them to not just stay in business, but pass on savings to consumers, isn't it then acceptable for a company to outsource jobs? The thing is, there are many misconceptions about outsourcing that may negatively impact a company's decision to take the step towards partnering with an offshore specialist. For instance, when it comes to outsourcing, say, customer support or tech support, things that we do here at TeleCastPH, a company may think things like, our customers won't get the same level of care, or I'll lose control of my business. An outsourced team won't have the same passion for our company as our in-house staff. It's unethical, since the labor is cheaper. And then terms like slave wages and sweatshop get thrown around. Now, these are valid fears for any CEO or entrepreneur who has never had any experience working with an outsourced team or even a home-based virtual assistant from the Philippines. So taking that leap into the world of outsourcing can understandably be a little scary. However, there are so many resources available that can explain the benefits and value that outsourcing can bring, like this podcast, and how easy it really is to get set up with a high-quality outsourced team that with just a little bit of investigation, a lot of these myths can be busted. I'm going to address these misconceptions here in a moment, but first, let's just take a quick look at what kind of impact outsourcing can have globally. So as we know, outsourcing is a strategic economic tool. And like most any other tool, it can be used for good or evil. In most cases that I'm aware of, it's used for the good. And many enterprises use it to turn fixed costs into variable costs, free up capital for further investment, save company time and money, and have really benefited from tapping on the high-quality experts to handle their non-core activities. So the negative political effect is normally a secondary issue and not the main intention for outsourcing. I came across an article a while back from the Washington Post where Dan Griswold, he's the former director of the Center for Trade Policy Studies at Cato Institute in Washington, D.C., and he's the author of several major studies on globalization, trade, and immigration, and he wrote the book you may have heard of, Mad About Trade, Why Main Street America Should Embrace Globalization. So in this article, it said more jobs in developing countries builds, quote, larger middle classes and creates a larger market for U.S. products in the future, end quote, which to me makes perfect sense. If you have more people in the world that can afford a product, then the market and global outreach increases. And this can go on almost indefinitely. So outsourcing is not only a sound business decision for the immediate needs, it's an investment into the future global markets and economy. So in effect, outsourcing creates a demand in developing nations for Western products, especially the technical and software products. On the flip side, by keeping an underdeveloped nation in a constant state of poverty, then the market remains limited to a portion of the developed nations where the competition is higher. I want to address now some of those misconceptions I mentioned earlier. In my job, I speak with a lot of directors, CEOs, and business owners from the West, and I tend to get a lot of the same concerns. One of the biggest misconceptions about outsourcing to a developing nation, like here in the Philippines, is that the economy of the developed nation will suffer. Now, this is a common way of thinking, but if we look at, say, trade as an example, Trading between cultures and nations has been going on since the dawn of civilization, and everyone is used to the fact that goods are traded between countries. What they are not used to is services being traded, which is basically what outsourcing is. If a good or service can be produced more cost effectively and then imported, then it would make sense to do so than to produce it domestically. There's actually a study that Harvard University did on outsourcing, and it says, quote, "There is a fundamental misunderstanding about trade in general. For years, there's been a temptation to somehow think that trade is zero-sum, that when some country benefits from trade, we must be losing from trade," end quote. The study then goes on to explain how the U.S. economy has benefited from outsourcing. We all outsource and trade all the time. We trade our money for services and products whenever we head down to the car wash or the Walmart. But how are we outsourcing in our personal lives? Well, think about the last time you ran through a fast food drive-thru and got a burger and fries. Maybe you were in a hurry and needed it quick. Now, you could have gone to the grocery store, bought the burger meat, the buns, the lettuce, the mayo, the tomato, got some potatoes and oil, went home, formed the patties, cut, blanched the potatoes, cooked the burger. Well, you get the point. But there's no guarantee that your homemade burger is going to taste the same as the ones cooked by the experts who have spent years perfecting their specialty, which is great burgers and fries. Not to mention the cost savings and also the time saved. You're able to get back to work quicker and focus on other things that bring in profits rather than being stuck in the kitchen making burgers. So yes, money does leave the developed country every time you pay your Filipino partner. There's no way around it, and I'm not going to pretend that it doesn't. However, according to an August 2003 study by McKinsey Global Institute entitled Offshoring, Is It a Win-Win Game? As outsourcing helps a Western country generate value, for every dollar spent on outsourcing, the Western country captures back $1.12 to $1.14, whereas the developing or outsourced nation only captures about 33 cents. In simpler terms, for every dollar spent on outsourcing, the value generated equals about $1.45 to $1.47. The Western nation captures back 78%. And that's the immediate effect from outsourcing.
Hi, this is Jillian Faris, Customer Service Agent at TeleCastPH. You're listening to TeleCastPH with Bizdev Jeff.
Okay, so moving on, I want to address some of the other misconceptions that we hear frequently. And when I say misconceptions, I'm not trying to infer or take away from, the validity of the concern, because, they are valid questions. It's just, these are the ones that we do hear frequently, and I want to address them to hopefully clear some of this up. So one of the ones that we do hear a lot is, I'll lose control of my business. Okay, and that is a valid fear. When you outsource, let's say technical support, that is all your outsourced team will focus on. And you can have complete control of that. Even in your in-house team, it's probably safe to say that technical support or other departments don't affect upper management or influence other important business decisions. They just focus on the job at hand. And in the case of an outsourced team, you are getting experts who have spent years perfecting their skills. So that's what they focus on. Another one of the major misconceptions that we hear is that an outsourced team won't have the same passion for our company as our in-house staff, and we're afraid quality will suffer. Valid fear. However, here in the Philippines, working for a Western account is prestige, especially among their peers. It's social status. Western accounts have higher wages. And I'm here to tell you, you will not find a more loyal culture than the Filipinos. In my next podcast, I have Daryl Holliday from Stack Sports lined up as my guest, and he'll be able to tell you the level of pride the agents working on the Stack Sports account take in their tasks. Now, when it comes to quality, this will initially depend on the amount of training our agents receive. Taking the time to train them properly, of course, is going to ensure their success. Also, it's extremely important to make sure that we set clear goals and regularly revisit the metrics that are set up for the quality analysis. Now, the last misconception that I'm going to address right now is that it's unethical since the labor here in the Philippines is cheaper. And then the terms like slave wages and sweatshop get thrown around. The cost of living in the Philippines is considerably lower than it is in Western countries. That is why the labor is a lot cheaper. And it does not mean that you're sacrificing quality, nor does it mean that they're working as slaves. And I can guarantee you that our offices at TeleCastPH are not a sweatshop. They're quite comfortable with air conditioning, and the agents love coming to work. But the lower wages in foreign countries like the Philippines always translate into significant savings, and in many cases, improved quality. Now, if you take, for instance, a software developer in the Western countries could cost you up to about $60 an hour, whereas one here in the Philippines will cost around $8 to $12 per hour with the same, if not better quality. Now, this benefit can make a huge, huge impact on profits. Okay, now, getting back to the jobs leaving the Western countries. Many think of outsourcing as evil because it takes jobs away from the developed countries. However, a study by the Department of Labor showed that less than 1% of the jobs lost between 1996 and 2006 in the U.S. were due to outsourcing. The rest was mainly due to companies either downsizing or going out of business. So in this respect, outsourcing saves more jobs than it sends out. When faced with the decision to close up shop or outsource and keep operations going, many companies have chosen to outsource. In the long run, this provides even more jobs as companies continue to expand, and also redeployment of labor. Those that do, unfortunately, lose their jobs due to outsourcing, again, I won't pretend it doesn't happen. They take up jobs in other companies, which further boosts the Western economy. Now, I've given you a lot of studies and statistics and things to chew on, and so right now you might be thinking, hey, Bizdev Jeff, this all sounds great, but what about TeleCastPH? Can TeleCastPH specifically bring value to my company? And that's an excellent question, and one that will be answered in 2 weeks when we have Daryl Holliday on as a guest. He is the Director of Customer Support from Stack Sports, the global leader in team and league management, and one of our largest clients. He'll tell you in his own words what outsourcing with TeleCastPH has done for his department and the value he and Stack Sports customers have received. So the question may still linger. Is outsourcing evil? Let's look at it this way. In the Philippines, the national unemployment rate is 5.3%, and that number is expected to go up to as high as 5.6% by this Christmas 2019. Many of the unemployed have college degrees but live in rural areas and provinces like Baliwag, where TeleCastPH is. Eventually, they'll have to crowd into metropolitan areas in order to find stable work, places like Manila, Makati, Cebu, Davao City. Or they end up going abroad to work as an OFW, or overseas Filipino worker, and send all their money home. Now, through outsourcing, jobs can be spread out to the provinces and rural areas, which allow these Filipinos to get a good paying job. Also, here in the Philippines, many workers are contractual, even fast food employees. They can work extremely hard for the term of their contract, however, it makes no difference. Once the contract is up, they're out. BPO companies like TeleWork.ph give the opportunity for regularization, meaning they are a regular employee of the company and not under any time-limited contractual terms. So this type of stability allows them to focus better on the job at hand, knowing that as they do well, other avenues may open. In short, outsourcing helps people, and helping people can never be evil. Let's take away borders, cultures, economies, and all of that for a minute. When a company outsources to the Philippines, they are helping families survive in a place where daily survival can be a struggle. These workers, even though highly skilled, are not getting rich. However, the wages they are paid provide more than enough for food, decent shelter, and transportation, and the other expenses as well, such as schooling and medical care. Another benefit besides salary coming from the outsourced company is the stability of work and the ability to be able to have a decent job and still be around their families, not have to leave home and seek work elsewhere. And this is the reason why TeleWork.ph chose to place our offices in the rural areas of the Philippines, like Baliwag, and also Leon, Bohol. Now, Leon is in the central Visayas region of the Philippines, just south of Cebu City. Back in 2013, a massive 7.2 earthquake shook the entire central Visayas region. Leon was one of the hardest hit areas. In fact, a third of the 222 lives lost and nearly 1,000 more who were severely injured were from Leon, and much of the city of Leon was razed. Recently, our co-founder and CMO, June Barangan, traveled to Leon to conduct a training for the Digital Jobs PH training program. Now, this program, sponsored by the Department of Information and Communications Technology, or the DICT, is focused on helping students excel in the digital fields so they can have a brighter future. The curriculum includes web design and management, search engine optimization, social media marketing like Facebook ads, YouTube, Instagram, and Twitter, and online digital marketing. Now, once the training was completed, the local government of Leon decided to take it even a step further. They wanted to give the graduates even more opportunities by actually bringing digital jobs to the area. This will allow those graduates to put their skills to use immediately. And this also allows them to stay local and not have to relocate to cities like Manila or Davao just to find a decent paying and satisfying position. Secondly, with these new jobs, this digital training program becomes an integral part of the ongoing efforts to rebuild and strengthen the economy of Leon. So after seeing the extraordinary benefits of having these digital-based careers stay in the local municipality, TeleWork.ph wanted to be a part of it. This project, sponsored by the local government unit, or LGU, is now called the Leon Business Processing Outsourcing Incubation Hub. As the name suggests, this is where the project will develop and incubate until such time as it is ready to stand on its own and transform into the Leon Digital Professionals Network. The consultancy and mentorship will be provided by CMO June and TeleWork.ph pro bono for free. We want to make sure that these graduates get the benefit of our extensive knowledge and experience in the digital field. June has been in the digital field for over 13 years and has earned many accreditations and certifications, not to mention the experience gained from running his own successful digital agency in Cebu. As I mentioned, he is one of the top 5 digital marketers here in the Philippines. Under his leadership and guidance, this partnership will flourish, and we're excited to see the outcome of our efforts. So that will wrap it up for this installment of TeleCastPH. I've been Bizdev Jeff, your host. Again, thank you for listening, and please subscribe and keep watching for my upcoming and future podcasts. As mentioned on the guest list is Daryl Holliday from Stack Sports. Also from Stack Sports, Jonathan Prevost, who will come on and give some insight on running a completely remote team. And of course, our very special guest, our founder and CEO, Marge Aviso, who will come on and talk about what it was like going through the startup phase and the struggles associated with a work-life balance while building a healthy company culture. And of course, to find out more about us, hop on over to www.teleworkph.com, where you can read more about our services, client testimonials, and check out our blog written by yours truly, Bizdev Jeff. And when you're ready to get involved, let's hop in a call and talk about ways Telework PH can bring more value to your company and how you can help make an impact on poverty in the Philippines. Take care, everyone. Be safe. Bizdev Jeff, signing off.